Hi, travelers. Welcome to day 2 of our first ever Gypsy Nurse virtual conference. I'm Rachel, the online community manager for the Gypsy Nurse. I'll be guiding you all week long during all these sessions. We had some great sessions and great giveaways yesterday, and today will be jam-packed with even more informative information and goodies. We will have Karen Buxman at 2 p.m. Eastern to help you use humor during these times of crisis, and Megan Holleran at 7 p.m. Eastern to discuss her hiking tips. I want to thank Travel Nurse Across America for sponsoring this conference all week long. If you haven't had a chance, be sure to check them out on thegypsynurse.com. They have their agency profile and their available jobs up. All these discussions will be held on this page, and all previous discussions and sessions will be at the very bottom of this page. So just scroll down if you want to see yesterday's sessions. And we have Steve Curtin here again today, and he's our Gypsy Nurse CEO, and he's going to introduce our first speaker of the day.
Thank you, Rachel, very much. Another exciting day here in the Gypsy Nurse Virtual Conference Series, day number 2. So we're off to a great start, and we're going to be off to a great start this morning. I'm really pleased to introduce both Brian Payne and Cami Narino of Furnished Finder. They are the exclusive housing partner of the Gypsy Nurse. We've been working with them now for well over a year, and they've been a fantastic partner. So Brian is one of the co-founders and I believe the CEO of Furnished Finder, and Cami is the operations manager for Furnished Finder. The presentation that they're going to bring you guys today is how to avoid housing scams as a traveler. We think that's a really interesting topic for many of you out there, particularly as we see our different Facebook discussion groups. Housing scams are always a concern for travelers, and with Brian and Cami's experience in terms of the housing industry, they're going to give you some great insights in terms of how to avoid housing scams. So Cami and Brian, it's great to have you. Thank you for your partnership with the Gypsy Nurse, and can't wait to hear what advice you have for our travelers about how to avoid housing scams.
Thank you so much, Steve, for the warm welcome, and we're very happy to be here with you guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Brian is here with us on the phone as well. So you guys won't be able to see him, but he is listening and he will be participating from his phone.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm on vacation, but I definitely did not want to miss this event. So my Wi-Fi is not as good as I had hoped, but was not going to miss it for the world. So yeah, let's dive in, Cami.
Perfect. Let me just go ahead and get them screen up.
So while Cami's doing that, I could probably just jump in with a quick and brief history of Furnished Finder. Furnished Finder is an online website. About a quarter of every travel nurse that's placed in housing will go through our site at one point or another. So we started in 2014 and have had significant traction since then. And they're just really grateful to serve such a great community of frontline workers and healthcare workers. So right now we've got over 40,000 properties on our site. So the best thing to do is when you're comparing properties, when you're looking at housing, maybe you're just shopping an area, like shopping a job, saying, well, I'm not sure, but between Nashville and say Atlanta or Baltimore. Well, Furnished Finder is a great site for that, where you can go in and you get an idea of each city, so you can see where you're going to retain the most amount of your stipend cash. And then when you really truly do need housing, you can go ahead and contact our owners directly, and you book with them directly. So we're a no-cost site for travelers. So there's no markups, there's no booking fees or commissions, anything like that. We're not corporate housing. We're not vacation rentals. It's truly, this platform was built for you guys. So we hope you're enjoying it. All the feedback that we're getting is that, a lot of travel are booking, and a lot of our property owners are very happy with the amount of travelers that they're getting, especially lately. So yeah, we're just real grateful for you guys, and we're honored to serve such a great community.
Definitely. And I'm having some issues here with the presentation. Here you go. There you go. Okay, fabulous. So thank you, Brian, for the intro, and we really wanted to just show you guys today first who we are as a company, what we do, which Brian did a fantastic job at introducing Furnished Finder. And then we want to talk a little bit about why our travelers choose Furnished Finder as a housing resource, and why we have been able to partner with the Gypsy Nurse and do what we're doing right now. So there are different things that we have put together, different tools and different options and resources for you guys. First thing is we want to make sure that all of our properties are budget friendly. So every single property that is listed on our website has been selected specifically for you guys. They all go through an interviewing process, and they go through a vetting process to make sure that the pricing that they select for their monthly rentals fits exactly what you guys are looking for, and making sure that you guys can keep as much of your stipend as possible. We also have nationwide coverage. So we have properties everywhere, even in the smaller markets, where there's really not a lot of housing anywhere else. You'll be able to find housing through Furnished Finder. We've also put a lot of effort and time into negotiating discounts in the biggest hotel brands nationwide, so that if you guys choose to maybe get to your location and stay there for 2 weeks in a hotel while you find something more permanent, you will be able to find discounts via Furnished Finder. Or if you want to stay in a hotel for your entire for the entire time of your contract, you'll also be able to save a lot of money with the discounts that our hotel partners provide. We have a map available where you can search by city, and you will be able to connect directly with each one of our landlords and negotiate directly with our landlords. Of course, always keep in mind that all of our services are free for all of you guys. So anything that you guys access on the platform, 100% free for you.
Lovely. I'd love to jump in and mention that we have on the homepage and on the travelers page, we have a budget tool. Now, Cami mentioned it as the first one because we know that overpriced housing is not what travel nurses are all about. Obviously, quite the opposite. It's important, extremely important, to the point that we would be irrelevant if we didn't realize that travel nurse housing has to be affordable for you guys. So I would encourage you to use the budget filter. You could obviously search by room type, house type, if you want a private unit or if you're looking for a room share. But definitely use the budget tool. And if you say, hey, I'm going to Nashville and my budget is $1,600, I want a private unit, you can go ahead and do that and get the results that you want. And then the second thing is when these property owners are listing on Furnished Finder, they actually do have to go through and we background check every one of them. So traveler safety is the most important thing to us. Again, it doesn't matter. Nothing that we built matters if we're providing poor properties and bad experiences. So it's extremely important that when you guys travel through Furnished Finder, you get a good place at a good price, but you're not exposed to some of the muck that you will see on other sites, maybe a Craigslist or a Zillow or something like that. Even Facebook group guys. I mean, I'll just mention this right now. Facebook groups are obviously a great tool for us to network and communicate. I think most everybody is using a Facebook group in one shape or fashion. But guys, online scammers are targeting Facebook groups now through Facebook Messenger. We hadn't seen that in years past. We've been managing our group of over 55,000 members for the last maybe 4 years or so. and we haven't really seen that. We are seeing it now. So be careful on the Facebook groups, especially when somebody reaches out on Facebook Messenger out of the blue, says, hey, I've got a great place for you. And the pictures may look great. And the price is definitely going to look great. If they're coming out of the blue, just be careful. If they mention they have a Furnished Finder listing, go on Furnished Finder. Because when you're on Furnished Finder, the site, not the group, when you're on the site, it's you know that they've been vetted. They've gone through our process in order to make sure that they are who they say they are, and they own what they say they own. So this is how we protect our travelers when you guys are looking for housing.
Correct. And just to add a little bit more about what Brian is talking about, throughout the years, we have been able to identify different types of ads that are posted and that are the tools that the scammers are looking for and that the scammers are using. So there are three main different types of housing scams that we found. The first one is the fake ad. So those are easier to spot than others, but they're still very, very effective. It's the ones that you can clearly see that those photos are way too good for that price. And you see this gorgeous property in San Francisco, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, fully furnished for $1,200. The other ones are spoof ad, which is the copy of a legitimate ad, but the price is a little bit lower and the contact information is changed. Those ones are a little bit harder to identify because it is the copy of a legitimate ad, but once you compare and you do a quick search for those photos, you'll see that the same ad is probably found somewhere else and the price is different. So it's always good to do your due diligence whenever you're trying to find housing and use different tools. And we're going to go through that as well. That will help you identify and just really try to prevent any sort of housing scam. And then the biggest scam that we have found is the identity theft, where the scammer assumes the identity of a real owner of the property that is being advertised and poses as that owner in order to try to, get a security deposit, get the first month's rent. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit into what else you guys can do to identify other red flags when it comes to online scams. The first thing that we have identified is that the scammer is never in town. So whenever you start talking to this person on the phone or via email, via text message, this person is never going to be in town to show you the property. There's always some sort of story of like, hey, no, I'm in a mission right now somewhere else, or there was something tragic that happened to the scammer's family, and that's why he's not available to show you the property.
Yeah. Hey, Cami, keep in mind that a lot of times, these guys will go to great lengths in order to seem legitimate. So a lot of times they'll say, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll absolutely show it to you next Friday. But when it comes to next Friday and you're standing at the doorstep, then that's when the story comes out. They're never going to tip their hat too early. What they're trying to essentially get, how they get their money is by deposit. So they're going to use every fear tactic they can. And some of them can get quite aggressive. Some of them can stay cool as a cucumber. It just really depends. Their method, their best communication method, what they love is text. Mm-hmm. So if you're simply texting, you may want to say, hey, would you mind if I hop on a phone call? If they say, no, I can't hop on a phone call because of another thing, that might be a red flag because they don't want you to maybe hear their accent. And most of the time, these are people overseas that are, up in the middle of the night, just communicating with you. And that's what they do. This is their job. And some of them can get quite sophisticated. So we've got tools to help you as well. So Cami, go ahead and, you can definitely keep going. And, but we're talking about identity theft. So that's the hardest one, right? Because essentially they're posing as John Smith. John Smith really does own that property on Market Street in San Francisco. The problem is it's a $2.5 million condo, right? And they're renting it for maybe $1,750, where it would typically go for, let's say, $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month or something like that. So be aware of those red flags, and we'll go through some more.
Of course. And I see that, Steve, you have a comment as well?
I do. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just a quick comment for the benefit of people that are joining us. So Furnished Finder, as our exclusive housing partner, I just want to let people know there are a couple of different ways through the Gypsy Nurse that you can access Furnished Finder's housing offerings. Number one, you can become a registered member of the Gypsy Nurse website, which is thegypsynurse.com. And you can go in and create a registered user profile, and you have direct access to their housing offerings there. The other way is you can just navigate under the top navigation tabs on the Gypsy Nurse, and we have a fully connected feed from Furnished Finder to the Gypsy Nurse that will show you all of the different offerings. In addition to that, as many of you know, Furnished Finder is our sponsor for our Facebook Gypsy Nurse Housing Group. And many times they will help out relative to questions regarding some of their properties, or particularly if somebody needs some housing in a pinch. Let's say you showed up somewhere, as Brian was alluding to, and unfortunately you've been scammed and you do not have a housing option. Furnished Finder helps us to moderate the group and can find you some quick and safe housing, and we'll send you the information on that. So I just wanted people to know the different ways that through the Gypsy Nurse, people can work with Furnished Finder as our exclusive housing provider.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. I'd love to mention, so those links that you see on the Gypsy Nurse Facebook group, you'll have Aleha and you have Danny. We've got two people that are working around the clock to provide. So when you're on there, if you're on the Facebook group and you get a link from one of them from Furnished Finder, it says, here's a custom link. That is a custom link. So basically, if you went into the group and said, hey, I'm looking for 1 bedroom, Sacramento with a dog, and I need to keep it under $1,600, then we'll essentially create a list of properties that match that criteria. So we're employing all those filters, and then we send you that link that we post. That link is just for you with very specific results. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Exactly. And just to add another point, the more information you provide whenever you're on the Gypsy Nurse asking for housing, the better help we can provide. As Brian mentioned, we do have 2 full-time staff available to help you guys, so you feel free to always reach out, as our team is always providing and always looking at our housing map to provide better options for you guys. So the more information, the better. Perfect. So let's go ahead and continue our presentation. So, Brian mentioned, bad spelling, some grammar errors, poor wording. The other thing that the scammer is always going to try to do is try to convince you to send money for a deposit via CLA or via Cash App. That's why on Furnished Finder, whenever you guys are looking at our properties, you're looking at our map, we try to always remind you to not wire funds to anyone, because that is the most common way for the scammers to ask for a security deposit or a first month's rent. They always go straight for the money. No matter what the conversation is like with this scammer, they're always going to be asking you to, hey, you haven't completed your deposit, or the transaction has not come through. So they're always going to be reminding you that they need money and that they need more money after you have sent them an initial amount. And
yeah, we always recommend, if you can, try to pay by a credit card.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't seen the place in person, and I understand we're travelers, right? So we're all over the nation, and we're in one place today, but we're in another place next week, and we need to secure housing. So a lot of that done, we realize, is sight unseen. So, but with a credit card, it gives you, yes, I mean, there's there might be a fee associated with that, if it's passed along to you, but it's worth it because you guys have that protection where you can call the credit card company and say, I'm disputing this payment because I showed up and that place was never a real place or whatnot. To Cami's point, yes, they like Zelle and they like Cash App. So, you know why is because you're not going to get the money back. It is essentially a wire, but it's disguised as kind of an electronic online money movement. Same with Venmo. I mean, it's very difficult to get your money back once you send it. And there are a lot of warnings on Zelle that even say, please don't send anything to somebody you don't know. And so it's not just a wire, to Cami's point. It is any electronic money movement that's not a credit card. So try to use those credit cards for your safety.
Of course. Now let's dive a little bit into how we Furnished Finder try to protect you guys. And I see that Cindy, you asked a very good question. Are the property owners vetted or background checked to avoid fraud? Yes, they are. So as part of the vetting process that our landlords go through, first, they initiate adding their property to our system, where we ask them for their full name and the full address of the property. We have a dedicated team in our quality department that checks all of our landlords to make sure that they have a connection to that property. We use fraud prevention platforms that we partner with to run that address and to run the identity of the landlord to make sure that they are who they say they are. And if for some reason we need more information, we're always asking for a photo ID and a utility bill that is also checked by our team members.
Yeah, about this is an initiative we launched a few years ago, and we said simply, just like, hey, travel nurses, they need affordable housing. There are certain truths in travel nurse housing that are always stable. And that obviously one of them is traveler safety. So we realized that we had to invest into this, and it's not cheap. In fact, it's very expensive, but we actually provide you with the same report that we run that costs us money. So if you guys are in a situation and maybe you're off-site, obviously there's plenty of places where you can go. But if you're off-site, maybe you're on Craigslist and you found something that I guess seems too good to be true, and maybe some red flags are going off, but you really want it, you really need it, but you're just not sure. You could go onto the travelers page on Furnished Finder and fill out a form, and it's an owner verification request, and we'll pull that report for you. That costs us money, and we'll give it to you for free. So you guys do have those tools, but it's a great question that you asked. And yes, every property owner is screened to make sure that they are who they say they are, and they are able to rent what they say they're able to rent through ownership. Maybe it's it could be a rental or sublet, of course, but we are authenticating and verifying landlords before they're able to list. So when they list on our property, it's conceivable that their property doesn't go live for 24 hours or more if extra documentation is required. It's pretty strict.
Exactly. Sometimes it takes anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, even 72 hours, in order for us to make sure that those properties are legitimate for you guys. Additionally, as you guys dive through our map, you'll find that a lot of our listings have a badge, and we call it that verification badge. This is a badge that landlords pay for, and they have to go through an additional layer of verification in order to have that badge. So you can always also go for the listings that have that badge added, or you can ask your landlords, hey, why don't you have the verification badge? And if they want to add it, they'll go ahead and add it for you. But we verify everybody. Users that have and that purchase the owner verification badge, they go through an additional layer of protection. Additionally, what we're doing on a daily basis is whenever one of you guys or anybody, any of our users or our representatives report a listing for suspicious behavior, suspicious communication, we take them off the map and review the whole registration process for that customer. So we initiate an investigation every single time you guys report a property. we're always also monitoring internal communications for the keywords that are generally used by scammers. So we have a dedicated team that is also going through those communications and making sure that if customer or if a landlord uses the word, for example, wire, that we're diving through that account and that we're making sure that, you know, this is a legitimate landlord. Even though we have already gone through a verification process of our own, we're constantly monitoring what is going on with our members. Additionally, whenever we're aware of a bad actor or a scammer or any sort of suspicious behavior going on, we fully support law enforcement investigations of fraud. So, you know, our team and for Furnished Finder, making sure that you guys are safe out there is the biggest priority. So we always love to hear from you guys. If you need support verifying a property you found on Craigslist, just like Brian mentioned, we have that tool. And really, we really want you guys to use it because it can help you guys out there be safer on the road. So
yeah, we realize
important.
that, hey, there's plenty of places you can go for housing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you find a great deal elsewhere, great. You know, we want you to, you know, come to our map. We want you to go to the Gypsy Nurse and look at our inventory every time just to compare. And if we don't have something in the area you want, you know, maybe everything's booked or it's not just quite right, or you're coming with a pet, and that's okay. You know, but we do want you to be safe even when you're traveling off platform. We'll still invest in you when you're traveling off platform.
Exactly. Now we wanted to share a little bit about our network. A lot of you guys already know how our map works and who we are, but you know, we have our main office down in Parker, Colorado. Our team, well, most of our team is remote. Our founders are located down in Parker, and we have over 45,000 furnished properties all over the US available for you guys. We have room rentals, we have private units, we have hotels, we have apartment complexes. You know, we pretty much, you know, have anything that you guys need available on our map. We have a team of 50 people right now that are, you know, working day and night to make sure that we keep bringing on properties onto the platform, that we can keep adding useful tools for all of you guys as well. Now, as for those tools, the first tool that we wanted to remind you guys of is the map. We have an option whenever you go to furnishedfinder.com, you can click on search our map and connect directly with all of our rentals or the hotels themselves as well. So you can just type in the city and state where you're traveling to, and you can set up specific criteria, whether it's your budget, whether you're traveling with a pet, and then the system will show you the results. And if you click on any of those listings, you'll be able to find the phone number for that landlord, and you can submit a message as well via the platform too. So we want to make sure that you guys can connect with those landlords. You know, going through the map and maybe picking up the phone and connecting with that landlord on the phone sometimes is a little bit faster, but it is going to be up to you guys. We want you guys to connect directly with our landlords. We also created a tool that is called a housing request, and you guys can submit that as well. This tool, what it will do, it will match properties based on what you guys are looking for. So if you really don't have the time to sit down and dive through the map by yourself and you want a little extra help, just fill out the housing request form, and we will go ahead and automatically match whatever you tell us that you're looking for with our available properties in the system. Those landlords will be notified of your request, and then they will be able to reach out to you directly. Additionally, we have that owner verification request Brian mentioned under the Travelers tab. So go ahead and find that whenever you've already connected with housing, whether it's on our platform or somewhere else, and just submit the address, the name of the person you're talking to, and we will need your contact information as well so we can send you that report. And within 24 hours, our team will be sending you the report of what we find for that property that you're attempting to rent.
Yeah. Also, Cami, on the Travelers page, there's a stipend calculator. Actually, I think on the homepage as well.
Correct.
Of Furnished Finder, and it's so it's something that where you're able to go into and you're typing in. This is in the comparative phase. Maybe you're you're on Gypsy, you're shopping 2 or 3 jobs, and you want to look and look at the areas. Say, well, I need to get an idea of the housing, because we all know housing can make or break an assignment, right? So you can go in, you can compare different housing. We'll give you all the stats that we have on those different geographies, so you can see an average rent, if it's a private unit versus a room, and a look at a global kind of inventory that we have, so you can get an idea of what you're going to pay on average in a city, and essentially, the inventory that's available, and then all these other stats that you can want, and the way you can compare exactly which city in terms of housing might make better sense to take which job. So that is a pretty good tool to use as well.
Exactly. Additionally, just as a reminder, we have an app that you guys can download. Is available for both Android and Apple users. So if you go to your app store, just type in Furnished Finder and you'll find our app. This app will allow you guys to message and connect with our properties directly from your cell phone. And also you can just check out the map and place a housing request on that app as well. So go ahead and download it, and it will really make it easy for you guys to go through that map and communicate with our landlords. Yeah, we're on the tail end of developing a new app that will be launched, but you can just go to the App Store, Play Store, wherever, and you'll be able to download it. But a new version is coming. We've listened to a lot of the travelers and landlords, so we're going to update that for you guys, and so stay tuned. That should be, within a handful of weeks.
Great. Hey, Cami and Brian, if I could just jump in again. This is Steve Curtin. Just a couple of notes here. Number one, at this halfway point, I just want to do a time check and let people know we've got about 28 minutes left in the session, just in terms of presenting content. Number two, I do want to make a public service announcement. I neglected to mention this at the beginning of the session, but for those that are joining us again, welcome. We definitely encourage your participation. I know a number of people in our comments section have asked some questions and commented, and there's some tough questions there, guys. So Cami and Brian, feel free to jump in at any point during this presentation to address some of those questions. But I did want to mention that you guys are sponsoring a giveaway for today's session, and that giveaway is a Ring doorbell, which is pretty cool. Talk about preventing scams and security and those sorts of things. That's a great prize. So Furnished Finder is kind enough to be sponsoring today's giveaway, which is a Ring doorbell. In order to qualify, you must be participatory in the comments section. So Rachel, who is running this session, will do essentially a random drawing and present a Ring doorbell to a lucky winner, lucky participant. And Furnished Finder, we thank you guys very much for sponsoring that giveaway. But again, Cami and Brian, definitely want to at some point give you guys an opportunity. I think Cami, you can see the comments. Give you guys an opportunity to address some of the comments from some landlords that have joined us, some of whom it doesn't appear that work with you guys directly, and they have some questions and some comments regarding their process for renting and proper vetting along those lines. So whenever you guys are ready, if you want to jump into those, that would be great. But anyway, that's my public service announcement at the halfway point of the presentation.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Okay. Cami, was there more information within the presentation and the slides and so forth that you wanted to present?
Yes, we are almost done on our end.
Hey, Cami, if we just wanted to mention that on the Furnished Finder website, there's an area for resources where you can check out a resource article about avoiding scams. So definitely check that out as well, just in case we get into questions and it occupies the rest of our time. It depends on what you want to do, Cami, but I'm okay. I can't see the questions, but if you want to open that up, I'm fine.
Of course. And I do see Sherry Schaefer, and you're talking a little bit about your process. Yes, we do charge a fee to the landlords in order to advertise. As you guys know, we're not a booking platform, so we don't work with any online booking fees at all. We charge our landlords an advertising fee in order for them to be able to post their properties onto our network.
Yeah, it's pretty inexpensive. I mean, you look at one Airbnb stay for greater than 3 or 4 days, that can equate to our cost for a year. So it's a small investment of $99 to list your property on our site. And again, it is a site where you're getting a listing, getting advertising on our website for 12 months. And then, so hopefully you're getting 3 or 4 travelers within that time frame per year, since they stay about 3 months at a time.
Correct. Now, Sherry, I also see your question in regards to non-professionals. Our network, Furnished Finder, is specialized in medical professionals. About 98% of all of the travelers we support are part of the medical industry. But yes, we do have a very small percentage of non-medical professionals that come to our platform and use our platform to find housing. We've had military families, we've had engineering families that are also going through a relocation, and they use the Furnished Finder platform for that. But all of our advertising and all of our efforts are, put forward towards the medical industry and the medical professionals that look for short-term housing.
Right. And I'd like to make a comment as well. So as I mentioned, the Gypsy Nurse has partnered with Furnished Finder, and Furnished Finder is the exclusive short-term housing provider for the Gypsy Nurse. And basically what that means is that, in terms of working with a short-term housing provider, Furnished Finder is the organization that essentially is integrated with us, as I described earlier, to provide housing options. And I emphasize the word options, housing options for travel nurses out there. That's not to say that there are not other ways to find housing. As many of you know, we have the Gypsy Nurse Facebook housing group that has well over 50,000 members, and there is a number of individual landlords that are presenting their housing options to travelers. It's kind of a marketplace, if you will. So we don't discourage people from posting in there. In fact, we encourage people to post in there. And it's not to say that people that are not affiliated with Furnished Finder can't post their housing offerings in there. They absolutely positively can. But we just try to make it even easier as a service to our travel nurses to partner with Furnished Finder, which is a fantastic company, to give them thousands of housing options across the U.S. if they choose to work with Furnished Finder. So would just like to clarify that through this particular presentation. I want people to understand that the Furnished Finder housing offerings are not the only offerings within our Facebook housing group. There is a number of different options, but in terms of a housing partner, Furnished Finder is the organization that we partner with. So I hope that clarifies some things as people come up with questions, and helps to make people better understand our relationship with Furnished Finder.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. As mentioned earlier, Facebook groups are really important. I think they're really part of our identity as healthcare travelers, right? They've been around. They're very useful, but keep in mind that pretty much anybody. Pretty much anybody can post an ad, and there's no verification or authentication going on before an ad is posted. Is that correct? On a Facebook group?
That is correct. Right. We just essentially, Brian, the Gypsy Nurse Facebook housing group is simply a place for travel nurses that are looking for housing and landlords that are looking to rent, a place for them to connect and discuss the possibilities. We don't get involved. The Gypsy Nurse does not get involved as an organization in terms of vetting anything like that. It's simply just a meeting place for people to compare notes, and basically people take it from there, which is one of the reasons that we wanted to have you guys present to our audience today, because really these items that you're passing along in terms of what to beware of in online housing scams, this is what people should know, particularly renters should know when they're seeking housing. They should keep these things in mind when they're dealing directly with a landlord, whether it's in our Facebook group or any other Facebook group, Brian, as you mentioned, because there's a lot of them out there. It's just key that they be aware of these things.
Yeah, perfect. What else do you see, Cami, in terms of questions?
I see a question here from Lucas. Can nurses post property reviews after their stay, and are you verifying those reviews to make sure they're legitimate? And to answer your question, yes, Lucas. All of our travelers can leave reviews after their stay. We have a review section under every property listing where you as a traveler can submit what you thought of, what your experience was with the landlord. You know, we want to hear from you guys. Now, what happens after you submit that review is that review is not automatically posted on the listing. It goes through a review process. So we have another dedicated team as part of our quality department that is going through each one of those reviews to make sure that they meet our review guidelines, that they're helpful, that the traveler actually did in fact stay at that place. And we connect with the landlord as well, just to let the landlord know that there was a review that was submitted for his or her listing too, and they can reply to that review. So yes, if you stay at a property at Furnished Finder, we ask you guys to go ahead and submit a review, because it helps other travelers know what your experience was like with that particular property.
Yeah, and they can find the reviews if you're a traveler now that has already stayed at a Furnished Finder listing, maybe multiple, go back and do those people a favor. Obviously, long-term relationships are built through this platform, and it's wonderful to hear that landlords and travelers get along so well so many times, saying, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to have that traveler back," or "They're amazing," or travelers will say, "Oh, I love this landlord. They took care of us. Their cottage was beautiful." So go ahead and let them know. Let other people know. That's how, a testimony or a review from a traveler goes so far within the community of other travelers. They want to hear from you. So go ahead and help that landlord out. Go to their listing, go to the bottom, click review, submit a review for your previous stay, even if it was last year. Submit a review for a previous stay, and it'll get to Cami's quality team, and they'll review, and then it'll go live.
That's Brian and Cami. That's one note I would also like to add to this discussion is within our Gypsy Nurse Facebook housing group. Obviously, we have moderators that approve posts, and when I say approve posts, they don't vet the landlord, they don't vet the property. They just make sure that the post is appropriate. So we have moderators that approve the post. And then we also look, throughout the day in terms of comments and things that are appropriate. We don't allow reviews. So that's another differentiator regarding our Facebook housing group. We don't allow reviews of properties. We don't allow comments. It's simply people saying, "I'm seeking a home a home to rent in Tennessee." In Nashville, and somebody saying, "I've got something," and then they connect from there. But we don't allow post-stay reviews. We don't allow anybody to come in and comment relative to, well, that pricing is too expensive or what have you. It's just not what that group is about. Because you can imagine if we allowed all that sort of thing, it would just be, conversation after conversation. So we simply keep it to a marketplace. So that's another way, I guess, that Furnished Finder can kind of differentiate itself as a partner of ours in terms of the ability to review and add commentary.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. Perfect. So additionally, we wanted to share with you guys another brand that we as a Furnished Finder family have built for you guys, and it's called KeyCheck. Brian, would you like to give a little intro about KeyCheck?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so our landlords have been asking us for a tenant screening option and where they can get leases. So since it's not an online booking platform, the landlords are looking to say, hey, how can I screen a tenant? And I know not every traveler likes to be screened. And I know everybody is background screened in order to get the job. And an employment background screen and a tenant credit check is different. But I will say one thing about KeyCheck. So if you hear the name KeyCheck, it is owned and operated by Furnished Finder. So landlords can send an invite to a traveler. So you've been connecting with one of our landlords and they say, okay, well, let's go ahead and move to the tenant screening phase. And they'll send you an invite. Excuse me. You get the invite and then go ahead and you'll be authenticated as a person. And then you're essentially giving them the option to view your report. So this is called a soft pull. So when you think of KeyCheck, just know that this tenant screening will not harm your credit at all. And we've gone to great lengths to do that. And we've kind of had to reverse engineer how credit checks are done. And this is the kind of the new way that companies are doing it. So it's great that it's a soft pull. And we also are now giving the landlord the option to pay for the report versus a traveler, which is very good as well. But I do want to just mention that that traveler or that property owners really do like to do a tenant screening because the difference between an employment background check, where they're maybe checking just criminal things like that, this goes into much deeper. It goes into eviction history. It goes into your payment history, your credit score, and making sure you're paying bills on time. That's what landlords want to see. So that's why we created this, and we're also giving them the option to purchase leases right there through KeyCheck. They can see everything on their dashboard as well. But KeyCheck is there for the traveler as well as for the property owner.
Correct. And Cindy, I see your question here. Cindy's asking us, what if the landlord has not asked to background check you? It is an option for them. It's not obligatory. It's not something that we tell every landlord, you need to background check your travelers. This is just a solution to a question that our landlords have been asking for a long time. If I want to background check my traveler or credit check my traveler, how do I do it? So we build the solution for them too. It's not obligatory for them to use it. It's completely up to your landlord.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with KeyCheck is that it doesn't harm your credit as a traveler. I mean, that's the one big takeaway, and that was what has taken a good year or two to put together. It's pretty sophisticated behind the scenes, but it's something because we know you're traveling, you're changing places every 3 months, and if you had to submit an application like apartments, a lot of times those are harder inquiries, right? But the soft pulls are a new type of a technology that TransUnion and the credit bureaus allow us to do. So we can take advantage of it. Travelers can take advantage of it, and that way that each time you're moving, it's not a hard inquiry on your credit, and that's important.
Correct. When I see a question from Liliana. Liliana is asking us, can the platform be set up to have that soft pull available in an individual's profile that can be viewed by the property owners? This way the soft pull is done once, maybe every year.
I mean, no, it's not done that way. It initiates from the property owner. So the property owner is the one who initiates the screening. So that's not an option. However, when you do go through and get a KeyCheck screening request, and you're authenticated, you get the report, and the property owner gets the report. And that's a physical report that you can download and print or whatever. So yes, you can share that report that you get through KeyCheck to anybody you'd like.
Perfect. And I see another question here. What's the worst scam story you've ever heard of or seen?
Everyone is different. I'll take it. I mean, everyone is different, and everyone is tragic, and everyone is heartbreaking. It really is. And so much of them are preventable. And this is why we do these calls. And Steve and Rachel, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this, because it's something out there that it's kind of a black eye in our industry. And we've gone to great lengths to prevent it. But these guys are crafty and shifty, and they go to great lengths to appear legitimate and to scam travelers. And unfortunately, you guys have a target on your back, a bullseye on your back, and it shouldn't be like that, which is why we built the platform. To answer your question, I mean, everyone is tragic. I don't care if it's $500 or $2,500. They're looking to get a deposit. They're bad actors. They're bad people that are preying on your trust, and they're preying on your fear. Basically, they're saying, "Hey, we know you need a place,
Right.
and we know you're going to get even more desperate. So go ahead and send me some money." And whenever that happens, that's difficult. And our job is to prevent that in any way we can, and primarily through education is the best way. So, yep, go ahead.
And I was going to say, Brian, and just along those lines, you know, as a travel nurse community, and as you guys know, the Gypsy Nurse essentially exists to support the travel nursing community. It really is heartbreaking when you have hardworking travel nurses that are, going around the country trying to help people. I mean, that is ultimately what they're doing, is they're helping patients, and particularly in these crazy times with the COVID-19, you have people that are traveling, putting themselves at risk, going to unknown places. They don't know anybody. They don't have any family there. And then given all that, to have people that want to scam them, it is really, it's heartbreaking. It is, it makes us angry, because, we see it and we hear about it. It's so disappointing. So that's just, kind of adds to the level of frustration in terms of, for the travel nursing community to have people trying to scam them. It is really just unforgivable, in my opinion. So that's why it's great to partner with an organization like yours that does everything it can to make sure that they have a great experience. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left here. I didn't know, just in the interest of time, if there's any other messages or important points that you guys want to get across to the community as we start to wrap up here in a few minutes.
Cami, did we miss anything?
No, this is
any other questions teed up?
I don't see any other questions. Please reach out. I mean, I know a lot of you guys may not have been able to watch this video live, but this will be available for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Furnished Finder team. Brian and I are always available, but then we also have all of our reps available on Facebook. We have our reps available on the phone. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you need help getting that owner verification report done for whoever you're talking to. It's important for us that you guys communicate with our company. So please reach out.
Well, I can say as we wrap up here that Brian and Cami and the entire Furnished Finder team has been a wonderful partner. I think we've been in partnership now for close to a year, Brian, I believe.
Yeah, we're getting there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we actually joined forces in terms of partnership because, frankly, of all the wonderful things that our community has said about working with Furnished Finder as an organization. So really, it was the community kind of brought you guys to our attention. And again, the Gypsy Nurse exists to serve the travel nursing community. Housing is such an important part of it. So by partnering with Furnished Finder, We just wanted to make it easy for those that would like to work with Furnished Finder. We wanted to make it even easier to work with Furnished Finder and even easier to communicate with Furnished Finder. So that's why, again, for those that are interested in what Furnished Finder has to offer, you can go to the gypsynurse.com. Certainly you can go to Furnished Finder directly, but in terms of interacting with our site, you can go to the gypsynurse.com. You can create a registered user profile. And once you do that, there'll be a button right there for housing. Just click on through and you'll have the housing feed. When you apply for jobs on the gypsynurse.com, there is also a selection of Furnished Finder housing options should you choose to go that route. So for right now, I'm happy to say we have about 150,000 some odd jobs on the gypsynurse.com website. So when you're searching for positions, and let's say you click on something in Cleveland, Ohio, in addition to the information on that job, you will see a variety of different housing options that have been customized just for you, courtesy of Furnished Finder, that you can take a look and see what the housing options are for that particular area. We also have access to the Furnished Finder inventory off of the resource tab on the gypsynurse.com. And then again, we partner with them in the Gypsy Nurse Facebook housing group. So when folks are in need of housing in a pinch or they have questions specific to Furnished Finder, the folks at Furnished Finder are happy to jump into a conversation just to provide options for people that might need them. So again, you guys have been a great partner of ours. I think the community really appreciates the convenience and the cost savings that they receive through Furnished Finder. So we appreciate your support of the Gypsy Nurse Travel Nurse community, and we appreciate your partnership with us. I guess as we close out, I think Rachel is back on. Rachel, did we want to do the drawing for the Ring doorbell? Again, it's limited to people that have been participatory in the comments, and we've had a lot of people joining in, and thank you guys for your questions. They weren't all puffballs. Some of them were tough questions, and we appreciate Cami and Brian, you guys jumping in and addressing some of them. So thank you for doing that. But do we have a winner for the Furnished Finder sponsored Ring doorbell?
Yeah, let me generate. So let's see. It is Liliana. So congratulations, Liliana. If you just want to message our fan page, just give me a shout on there and we'll get it all set up so that we can ship it out to you. So, well, thank you everybody for participating, and thank you Furnished Finder, Cami and Brian for joining. We love having you on here, and we look forward to maybe having a little bit more sessions with you guys in the future too.
We will definitely be doing more of these sessions. Thank you both very much, Brian and Cami. And
take care. Safe travels, everybody.
Thank you everybody for participating.